I feel today? Ask yourself this question.
What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Let's go! We ready! We ready! We ready! We ready! And let's go to the and let's go to the
When I step on the field, I send one message. And this is what it feels like. This is what it feels like. Football is getting hit. That's it.
It's gonna be football now. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Let's hunt now. Let's hunt now. Let's go. Let's hunt. We ready. And let's go to the and let's go to the
We're talking about the Jets like we're talking about the Saints. You know, all this, how like we the Miami Heat of football. Yeah. The bottom line is you got to buckle up your chin strap. It's embarrassing. Yeah. Don't disrespect the game like that. There's too much crying from them. He's a man. They can be hit just like us. He's a man. You already make the big money. He's a man. Don't cry when you step on the field, man. That's war out there. When I step on the field, I send one message. This is what it feels like. Oh, my bad. Your bad don't work in my world.
What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. We ready. And let's go to the and let's go to the It's a wrap. Game over. Hello. Today on the HBCU Stroll with the Coach Johnnie Cole, it's a special time and it's a special day, and this is about Father's Day, but you know, of course, fathers can't go without mothers. Just a little bit about my father. Unfortunately, he's not here today. He passed away in 1988, and some of the things that he taught us about respect and honor. It goes a long way. And behind me are my brothers, and next to me is my mom. I think my father done one thing great, was marry this pretty young lady long time ago, and she taught us so much. And just introducing her, you know, I have to say that I would call her a producer. You know, Steven Spielberg has nothing on her. She produced 9 boys. I would call her a scholar of raising kids. I would call her a teacher of men and children. I would call her a humanitarian. Just growing up, seeing her taking care of the whole neighborhood. I would call her a COO, because Daddy was the CEO. She was the COO, Chief Officer of handling the finances, as well as taking care of her. My mom, Ruby Lee McKinney Cole. Mom, how you doing today?
I'm feeling fine today.
Good. I know Daddy, I hear the stories with Daddy. You guys met and got married at a young age. And one of the things you always told us, he said he was going to have 9 children. But did he say he was going to have 9 boys?
Yes, he sure did. He didn't want no girls at all. Girls wasn't his thing.
Well, Mom, you know, hey, I got to let you lead this off. You're talking to, you know, over 500 potential viewers. And, you know, I can't say enough about you, of what you taught us. And still, it's a blessing today. You know, we came back for our Dunbar class reunion. I'm representing Dunbar High School. And I just got to thinking that I finished in 81. I was the last guy. And my older brother went to Dunbar in 1964. And after 40 years, that all my siblings are here, all my brothers are here. And I think that's just a blessing itself. And of course, you here most of all. Is there anything that's on your heart? And she's about Christian as well, you know, Church of Christ, praying mother, you know, and Is it anything that if you want to contribute to today's society to say?
Yeah, I want to tell all men, women, boys, and girls, be a Christian, love the Lord, go to church and worship. But God, He will bless you and He'll do more things for you. But if you don't believe in the Lord, you'll be Him, but you're living harder than you would if you was in Christ's hand.
Yeah, and you got to give them, just give them one anecdote of raising children.
This last one, Johnny, he was the one. But what I know about the rest of them all, all kids, they always do something that the parent don't know anything about. But Johnny, I always had to stay on him. Trying to make him as a good kid, but I really hope he done got better. I don't know. He's in one place, I'm in another place, but all I can do is pray for him. I pray for all of them.
Yeah.
I really hope they all get back in the church and try to live a Christian life, for their life will be better.
Well, I can say this: whenever you're the youngest, you don't ever grow up. I'm about to be 60. I'm still her baby. And that's okay with me.
Well, yeah, he's still a baby. All I can do is keep talking. We're not getting mad with each other, but I don't care. I still love him.
That's right.
Sometimes I want to take a belt and tear him up, but he's all right. I pray and hope he's a good kid. I don't know because I'm not with him. Hope and pray that he's living right when he got grandkids to raise.
That's right. Right. All right.
Like that.
Move on to the next part of the story. Mom will step on out in a little bit. My brother Lyle is just coming through the door.
You're slowing.
Well, there we go.
There we go.
Come on.
Come on. He comes back of there.
Huh? Come on, Lyle. Where Lyle going?
I see.
Sitting there. Okay, is that it? All right, here we go. Want to start off by having a blessed opportunity to have all my siblings. It was tough growing up behind 8 guys that done things the right way. At least that's what they showed me. And my mom, before she had left, and dad had taught me, or at least instilled in me, about humbleness, about respecting your elders. Just some simple rules that they laid out that was able to carry us. One thing, again, about my mom, I used to ask my mom, I said, well, Mom, how do you love and take care of 9 boys? And this actually helped my coaching career. She said, well, I love each one of you the same, but I handle each one of you different. And that made sense to me when I became a college football coach and coaching 80 different kids, that you got to learn how to, each kid is different, and you got to be able to meet them halfway where they are. So let's get to my siblings. To my far right, Trent Cole, went to Ball State out of high school, transferred from Ball State, went to Central State, HBCU College, went on to make All-American, lead the team in tackles, superstar, having to have a son that played in the league, Trent Cole Jr. Trent was my protector. Trent was a guy that man, didn't nobody bother me when it came to Trent Cole. Next to him is Abu, my second oldest. Put your hand up, Abu. He's a devout Muslim. He's the president of his mosque. He just came from a humanitarian effort out in Washington, D.C. Abu was probably the guy that I seen the less growing up, but it was a good thing because he was going through some changes. But once he met those challenges, he was able to be a great big brother to me. Yeah. Next, on my left side.
One time we live at. I live in Dayton, Ohio.
I'm going to let you guys do that.
Okay.
My next time, I got, hey, believe me, they're going to jump in and they're going to run over me, so don't worry about it. I'm already expecting that. Just like I knew not to run and get in the front seat in the car. Because I never was going to get that window seat. Next is Norris. Norris has been a mentor of mine, father sometimes. I call him the monarch of our family. Went to Bowling Green, went on to Ohio State Medical School. He also has a son that played in the NBA, Norris Cole Jr. He's a humanitarian. He's a mentor to kids. He's our family doctor. So when we have an ailment, everybody calls him. All right, next is right behind me. Man, I can't. He's my best friend. He's my big brother. Because if you know, it's 9 of us. So each 3 has a big brother. Timmy is the oldest. Then there's what is it? LC. Got Trent Lyle, and then there's Durrell. And Durrell used to take his sandwich and always would keep a part of his sandwich because he knew I would be hungry later on that day. He also took me around to all the tournaments where I won pass, shooting, dribble concerts. Games contests. I also won around the world, and he was almost my biggest cheerleader. Next one sitting next to me is Lyle. Man, he's the disciplinarian of the family. He's hard. He's black and white, but he's like a stone. He's the cornerstone of our family, meaning that he's always going to stand for the family. I want to thank him too. Him and Norris, they come by every day to check on my mom. Every day. It ain't a day that he missed. If he missed, then we need to call 911. Not for my mama, for him. So the other 2 supposed to tune in. Stevie Cole, that's my partner. Stevie is down in Georgia. Yeah, he'll click in pretty soon. He just finished his 3rd straight 6A championship. Unfortunately, he didn't win this year. He's been in the state championship in Georgia for 3 straight years. He's been coaching for about 20 years. They've been in the Final Four dozens of times. He has a girl play with South Carolina State. He'll come on a little later. I can't say enough because he was the same age as me, and he always we would compete together and also played on the same team. Last but not least, LC Cole. Everybody knows LC. What's up, James Lackey? Appreciate you tuning in. LC is a college football coach, went to the University of Nebraska, graduated from Dunbar, all-state basketball, football. He was our athlete of our family, even though all of us played. And, the things that LC has accomplished is one and only. He's the only African-American coach to take a African-American program and win the conference in a PWI conference, meaning predominantly white conference in college football history. So that's my guys. I'm gonna start off with Trent. Oh, and my oldest, who wasn't able to make it. Man, I call him the example. He the one got all the whoopings. He the one couldn't get out. He the one that started it all off. And like my brother just told me, he's really the one got us all into sports. And he took care of me as well. When I was young, he went on to Southern Missouri out of Dunbar, and then he came home and ended up going to the Marines and became the man he was. And then he got he was one of the youngest guys to get a job at Ohio Bell at that time. I want to say he was about 19 or 20 years old. Very smart, and I wish him well. He had a long weekend and he wasn't able to come today. But Trent, you're the middle child. Of course, everybody knows. Raise your hand. Everybody knows the middle child is like the black sheep. Tell us about being the middle child.
That's interesting. Well, I just wanted to say being middle child is I think it's the best position any person could ever have, because you grow up with your older siblings at the same time. You grow up with the younger ones, and you sort of balance. You know about what happened in the past, and you know what happened. Some things is going to happen in the future. But I want to just say two particular things that I remember very quickly, and they are in reference of Johnny. So Johnny seems to be the punching bag. So let's continue the punching. No, I heard once there was he had an interview. They asked him because he and my brother Lawrence, they have been coaches together. And then he was asked a question, and the question was, how do you feel about your older brother being your coach? And the story goes, Johnnie Cole said, hell, what are you talking about? I have 8 brothers and I've been told what to do all my life. And I'll never forget that. And another one in reference, I guess, to my mother, and knowing all my brothers the way I do, they all have a very, very good heart. And I have no doubt we developed that from our father and our mother. And one incident, I always tell the story when I get a chance about growing up, watching my mother. And I believe my mother is probably gave us the hearts that we have. And that is a story that we would be out somewhere, and my mother taught us that don't ever come home with food unless you can feed everyone. Well, on one occasion, she pulled out a piece of gum, I'll never forget it, and I had 3 other brothers together with us. And she took that gum and she tore it into 4 pieces. And that's something that stayed with me all my life. I really can never get it out of my mind, how kind and how she taught us to always to give and to share. And so I just want to just take this opportunity to present those 2 great memories in my life. Johnny, I know we don't have much time.
Yeah. Well, Abu, I'll just go down the line. Wow. I can't say enough about Abu and his journey, and I'll let him share his journey.
Well, I mean, it's just the eyes on Johnny. I'd just like to say one thing is when Johnny was little, 7 of us would be out in the alley and we want to play football. So you got to have a receiver, you got to have a center. And Johnny was the only one, and he would be the neutral guy. So he would have to play quarterback. He's played quarterback all the time, and we would always say, we'd always work with him. We put our arms, because he's a little guy. We put up Johnny. You got to be able to throw over these arms, and you got to be able to hit your receiver. So we used to work with him with that all the time. You got to throw over these, and you got to hit that receiver. So he was always chose to be the quarterback. He would switch for both teams while we had the center in the middle. So it was always in the alley, and he had a narrow receiving area to throw in. So he had to get the ball there, or else he would, hey, Johnny, But it was always nice to work with Johnny. I always thought Johnny was a salesperson. Johnny could sell anybody on anything. He was, a very extremely likable guy. But like you said, I was much older than him. I was off in college. If I wasn't off in college, I was married and moved to. I live in Illinois. I lived in Wisconsin, then Illinois. I live in Illinois right now. So when I used to fly down to his games, when it was cheap to fly down to Texas, me and my daughter used to jump on the plane and fly down to visit him. And even though he was a football player, he would always make accommodations for us when we come down there. The best accommodations he could possibly find. And he always treated us very well when we came down to see him after the games. And even after he became coach, he'd never forget about his family. Mm-hmm. And particularly his nieces and nephews, he's always encouraged them to do better. It was one thing I thought my son was a little soft, so I said, let me sit him down and stay with Johnny. So I sit him down and stay with Johnny, and he came back. I mean, it was terrific. His whole attitude had changed about how he had to, what he needed to do to be a better athlete, and all those types of things. It really changed his perspective on sports, and he's doing great right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, next I'm gonna go to Norris, the doctor of the family. One thing I know he always would teach me, because he wasn't the greatest athlete in the family, and he wasn't the worst either. I'll get to the worst because he always spoke up. But he taught me how to get in the book and read and find out history on the position of quarterback, technique, about how you carry yourself. But Norris, just being the third coming behind, man, I can't say enough. You kind of led us into the as far as the education realm of it. Not only just going to get your BS, you went on into medical school, and that kind of stuck with me. I know a couple of us went on to get our masters.
I'm Norris Cole Senior. I always have to put that on nowadays because of the success, athletic success thing that people talk about. But growing up as a child, one not responsible for anything, I found myself falling into that position, being one of the older ones, and you just fall into the position you fall into. Being in the first set, athletics and things like that wasn't that important to our parents. They were more interested in education. Anything else was secondary. Mostly my dad, especially my mom, just wanted us to be good people, not to be a nuisance or anything like that. And so, I learning from them, I only could apply those things to my younger brothers and things about being an example. Mostly, if I had to tell people what they need to do, is be careful what you do because people are watching you. And when it came down to athletics, that's something you have to really need to work at. Some people, and we all had talent. That's basically, we all have talent, and some people don't realize it. And we were like diamonds in the rough. My assessment, as an individual, that we could do anything we wanted to do, but you have to really work at it. You got to polish it. And so when I left and went off to school and came back, that's what I did. I worked. Talent needs work. If talent don't work, work beats talent. So I think that in general, that was a major thing my parents emphasized to us, to work hard. And once you work, it really pays off. And I use that with my own family. I'm currently married to Diane Cole. I have 2 daughters and 1 son, Norris II. And we always talk about education, and we always talk about hard work. And of course, your spiritual development is the major. You be thankful for God because we're creatures. And when you're creatures, you have a creator, and you should be trying to understand and learn what your creator wants you to do. And getting back to this working hard, that's the major emphasis. So with Johnnie Cole, everybody down and beating up on him. One thing he was willing to do, work hard. Like I say, he's a diamond in the rough. Nobody could see it, but I saw it. His siblings saw it, and he's sort of like the finished product. So when he left, he was shining when he left from here. Even though we had previous people shine, we got scholarships and this and this, but Johnny and the younger guys, they had everything, all the tools. All they needed to do was go shine and apply those things that they already knew about: hard work, being a good person, and being thankful for what God has blessed you with. A lot of times people run away. When I left, and all these years I left, and all the things I think about, I already had a whole lot of stuff. All this other stuff I accumulated along the way is just extra. So it's hard for me to get down and out about what we don't have, this pandemic. No, I have a lot. And I thank my parents for instilling that in me. I never would take success for anything. I'm thankful that Johnny remembered that, but I had to give all that and pass that on down the line to where it really came from. It was through development that our parents did, in spite of where they came from. All of us know our dad and our mom, like, what are you complaining about? You don't have to get up and go to work and feed. Man, he was a work of art, and mama was too. And they never spared the rod, which was not a bad thing because they wanted to chase all the bad spirits away. That being said, go ahead. I mean, I could go on and on, but just say,
I just piggyback off. I know when, of course, they developed me as a quarterback. And you got a 10-speed tire with a rope, tied the rope and put it on the garage. And I used to sit back there and he'd swing that 10-speed tire. And I used to have to take that ball and try to hit it. And that's where I kind of got my accuracy from, because when that tire, of course, swings, you got to kind of throw it where it's going, not where it's at. So I remember also when I became a pitcher, he would paint a line. He would make me read books on being a quarterback. And guys, when these guys was playing, I was the manager. I take ankles, you know. So I'm gonna turn it over to hey, he gonna keep it straight. Hey, he gonna the razor cut you. He'll never get cut because he always gonna keep it straight. My brother Lyle, man, can't say enough about him. Right now, he's the leader of the Teachers Association over at our alma mater, the Falcon Rep.
I don't even know what to say. I just think about sometimes he's probably part of the reason why my knee is all tore up. I had knee surgery in college, but I just think back that at the time when he was able to walk and start preschool, and I was the one that took him to preschool all the time. We walked together, we would play, look at the bugs, and do everything under the sun until we got to the preschool. That's where the war started, because the preschool he went to was probably about 95 minutes from the house, but I had to walk over to Louis Troy to school, and it just seemed like he would never let go of my leg. It'd be like my leg was still at the nursery, and I'd be sitting in the classroom with him crying and all whatever else. But to say that is that it just seemed like when I think about it, he was always stuck to my hip. All the way up until all the way until I graduated from college, because we hung out together, myself, Duro, and Steve, and we used to go to the house parties and we didn't have no other choice but to take him, because he wasn't old enough to go, but we had to take him. As soon as we get up in those house parties, say, here come them coals, and they use the damn word, here come them damn coals. And the first thing all of us would say, you're right, with a smile on our face, and the party gets started. But he was always in there, the smallest little guy. He was, and we really had a good time. It's just that it's so much I can say about being around this guy, and I must have had some kind of influence on him, because every place I went, he was with me, with the three of us, and I was the oldest at the time. And we done some devious stuff that we don't need to talk about. Even at the time when I left and I went away to college, and Duro and his partner started the big fight up at Sunoco. He was up there. I mean, we're all friends going at it, but other than that, I just could say that I don't know if it was like Cooley High for all of us, with you running with us. It was just great being around him. But like I said, I was just always a straight-laced type of guy with him. And I guess the only downfall I would have is you never let your baby brother have some success when things are not going right. And I can tell you, back in 1977, 78, 26-6, Dunbar Rock game.
Oh, wow.
This dude had some success. He replaced me my last year of high school.
Yeah, I was back up my brother.
Replaced me and scored, and we lost the game, but he was happy as a lark. It was like he could have been jumping all over me. I didn't hear the end of it, but I thought it was great for him. I didn't sit him down or anything. I just let him have his good time with that.
Well, I just want to piggyback off that. That one thing that our mom and dad instilled in us is about love, about loving each other. And a lot of times, siblings get jealous of each other, or siblings is envious of each other. That never came into play. I can remember me and Stevie got into it outside the house, and man, my daddy grabbed both of us and ran us up and threw us inside the house and said, "Let me tell you something. You might fight in the house, but you never gonna fight outside this house. When you leave these doors, you come back together." And that's what I say about seniority, respecting seniority, because we didn't have a problem with that. Because if you're out, or all of us are out, or two of us out together, three, we know number one, the oldest brother is gonna make the decision to come back or not. And the young brother just gotta follow. You know, and I think that's so important in families. You know, respecting each other, respecting authority, and most of all, love conquers all. Next is Durrell. Man, I'm gonna let him have it. He man broke both legs, both arms, finger cut off, stomach operated on. Man, that's our biology project. Played ball. I don't think he ever finished the season. Always got hurt some kind of way. But I pushed him around Dayton, Ohio. We used to make go-karts. And I used to push him around the city. Go ahead, Durham.
Yeah, I won't talk about how much I got hurt. JC kind of stole my thunder. I was going to start off with. Lau talked about it. I was older of the last three. Stevie and Johnny, so we were all in high school at the same time. And I saw it as my responsibility to always look out for those guys, to actually sacrifice them whatever I had to make sure that they were taken care of. And that just goes with, like Johnny mentioned about what our dad taught us, that, hey, you can disagree 1,000 times in this house, but when you're outside, it's unity is one. And we carried that all the way through high school, all the way even up to now. Now, you heard Johnny say he kind of like his best friend. When we kind of follow each other, you know, when he was in Texas, I decided I'd come to Texas. He left Texas. You know, we lived together and spent a lot of time together. I just think that, and I've got a chance to really, you know, sit and listen to him and read a lot of his stuff about football and football coach. And, you know, I think what a lot of people don't understand about him when it comes to coaching is that he knows the game. You know, there's a difference between just playing the game. I played the game. This young man is a scholar of the game who studied the game. So when he says something or he gets on the board, it's backed up by many, many years of studying and learning. You know, it's just amazing. A lot of times I hear him talk, and when he talks about football and the different things he said about football, you know, it's still amazing. And you would be surprised, maybe not as surprised, at how many coaches, prior coaches of his, will call and ask him about different things. Now he'll tell you, I'm telling you to shut him off. Yeah. Because I'm just that hard guy right there. But you know, it's just been a blessing to be a part of this family. We were at my father's gravesite the other day, just paying the tribute to him as our father. And the question was asked just to name one thing that your father taught you that you really remember about him. You know, and I remember about him saying, "Hey, take care of each other." You know, that's your brother right there. You don't fight outside. Fights inside. When you walk out the front door, it's unity. Unity is one. And take care of your family. Be the man of your family. Be that man. I think JC has definitely been that man through all the trials and tribulations that he's gone through, and is still successful.
Yeah. But I think my brother Stevie, they checked in yet? Steve Cole, my partner in crime, in biology class. We got wonderful parents. Me and you have no excuse not to be successful. That's why you win all them championships. Can you hear us? You gotta turn your volume on.
Yeah, take yourself on mute.
Yeah, on mute.
Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah. Is LC there?
He was supposed to be down there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, Steve, you on mute. He got a bad internet.
All right, we got. He had to get on. Yeah, he had to get on back. But let's start with Norris about what Daddy and it's about Father's Day. How our father kind of touched us, even though he's not here today. Some specific things that you might want to say.
Well, like Daryl was saying, yesterday we went to his gravesite to pay tribute to him, and we were asked some of the things that we most remembered about him. And one of the things that for me that I remember about him, that he was a simplistic man. He wasn't complex. What he said is what he meant, and that's the way you should run your house. He helped me a lot. Like you say, you look for older people for wisdom, and I got it from him and my mom when I had problems and things like that, from a child all the way up through school. And, everybody like to have a success story about what is success in a particular family. You being 9, you always run out of stuff, John. But for me, my success was to be the first one to graduate from university. Yeah. And that was a big success, but I would not have been able to do it without him or without my mom. And, he's constantly, and she's constantly, you can get it done. And my dad would always say, I can't be like him. I can't. He said, look at me. I'm 5'10". My hands and arms are bigger than my body. So he said, I needed to go ahead and get the work done. And he inspired me. Particular incident at Bowling Green in terms of me being successful from a social aspect. Like I said, he wasn't big on sports, but I loved it. I would always go to the gym and play ball, stuff like that. And I had to play with, white students. And every time I would come, they would leave, or they see me already there, they wouldn't come. And it upset me to the fact that I wanted to socialize at this university. Long story why I went there, we don't have enough time to tell how I ended up there. But anyway, I talked to him that night, and he said, son, what's wrong with you? He said, wait a minute, on my check, he said, Ruby, give me that. On my check, it got thicker, federal type. Then he looked at it, state. Ain't that school boat? He didn't, I call it BGSU. He said, but it's Bowling Green State University. And he said, hey, look, that school as much as yours as it is his. Don't play them kids no mind. That's your school. That's all I needed to do was hear that from him. So when I got back and I called him again, I caught them coming. And they saw I was already there, so they didn't go back. And I snatched the ball from one of them. And I threw the ball as far as I could and told him, get out of my gym. I don't want y'all back in here. And that made me feel so good for him when he told me that was my university. So I felt a part of it. And that was a big deal way back then during, as we developed here about socializing and getting our fair share of being Americans. My parents didn't look at this as Black America or white. This is our country, and he worked so hard. And that instilled me to work harder after I got to university. And it helped me pay off. It paid off by me doing the work necessary to graduate because I had no clue. And I know he didn't have no clue. Yeah. He I just remember him as giving a lot of good advice, and it's just plain simple. And it made sense. I said, yeah, he pays taxes. That's my university.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing, Willie Jones, coached with him at Tennessee State, and Dixie Wilson for tuning in. Trent, what's your daddy's story? We can cut him down, but let's make sure we get him in because it's Father's time, and man, any man that has 9 children that and I like to get this in that don't have no alcohol problems, don't have no drug problems, never been to jail, never been to prison. Always just worked hard. That's a blessing itself, and not saying you're good or bad, but I guess a lot of it is some of the stuff that we just didn't get caught. So we understand that. We understand that as well. So sure.
I got many, and I'll just give a few. I know we're under a time constraint, but I learned a lot of simple things from my father. That is, wear a belt. Wear a belt. Don't walk around your pants slouching. Yeah, my father didn't have that. I just remember the story where 2 of my brothers had left the house with their pants sagging and the airflow comb in their hair, and he happened to be at the door when they were walking down the street. And he called them back to the house, pull up their pants, and get them combs out their hair. Yeah. But most of all, it was already said earlier, is that I was watching a show one time, and they'd asked the question, well, what is a woman? And it was a stupid question. And so if you would ask me, what is a man? My father. Yeah. That's what a man is. And he taught us all how to be a man. There is a way to be a man. A man is just not any kind of way. And most of all, and last thing, the fact is, he always taught us to take care of what was ours. Right. And so I think we all got some pretty blessed children as far as our love and our care for each and every one of them. And that comes from my father.
Yeah, my mom would run the house until he came. Or we could hear his car, when his car pulled up,
We'll have enough time.
we knew Daddy was pulling up, and everybody was putting belts on. Everybody was sitting up with their back to. What about you? You was number two.
My thing about my father is I would say resourceful. This dude, we all wanted bikes. He'd come home, and we in the garage would be a pile of bikes. They didn't have no wheels, but the wheels and everything. He said, "Well, the toolbox is over there in the corner."
Yeah.
And we started working. You know, when we get trapped and didn't know, he'd come in and show us how to fix it. And remember my oldest brother had bought a car and it needed an engine. Next thing I know, an engine is sitting in the garage waiting on it. And that's the same with the Volkswagen. We blew up the Volkswagen engine. We would tell we need, and then we'd come home. It'd be his engine sitting on the floor, but we would have to learn ourselves how to put that engine in. So I would say resourceful, and because of that resourcefulness, it has helped me out a lot in my life. Because it seems like my wife always say when the mail comes, she said, "Is there a check in there? You always get a check in the mail for something." And and I'm always something is always coming to me. And of course, Mama gave us that community spirit where when you get something, you share it with others. If I don't need it or some family, I would always put around from cars or refrigerators to. And I don't really need this stuff. The washers and dryers, all this stuff comes to me, and I said, and that's because of the spirit that Daddy installed in me to treat people with kindness and help people. And I can remember him taking me downtown, me and Timmy. Was you with us, Norris? No, it's just me and Timmy. He used to take us downtown because they used to work for the deaf and dumb school, and they knew how to do sign languages. And we'd be sitting there, and he'll call get one of those guys over, and he'll talk to them and all that kind of stuff. So they were very humanitarian. Yeah. So they passed that on to me, and I think that's the main reason I'm a Muslim, basically. It was always about, they were very simple and reasonable and rational people. They were always the very middle course of things.
Well, now your daddy story, we got about 15, 20 minutes left.
No, I'll make it pretty quick, but I seen James Lacking's name come up on there. Just give him a shout out because I work with James, and
you work with James?
Yeah, he always, he's a great guy. And some things that Dad has instilled in me, he don't know it. I talk to him about because he's a good guy, and he has some issues up at the school, and he gets close to that line sometimes, like I do. And one thing about it that I can say about my dad is that you can't never get him to go over the line. He never crossed the line when it came down to problems and issues that may happen. Every time you look around, somebody talking, "Oh, you upset," and you can ready go up. I look at him like, "No, you got the wrong dude. I'm still under wraps. I'm under cool." And the perfect example is the example that I'm gonna use you, and I'm gonna use one on Norris, and then I'm gonna move on. I remember back when Abu was talking to his baby's mother's father, and this man is going to tell him exactly what he's going to do. Now, what he didn't know, that my daddy was listening to the conversation. And my father got the phone and told that man, "Look, my son going to take care of his responsibility, but you ain't going to tell him what to do. He is a young man, and he's been raised right. He know what to do, and he got all the support he needs." And with Norris, there's an incident that happened up at Bowling Green with him, and Norris is trying to figure out what to do. It's like, dude, just chill out. It all will be taken care of, man. And I'm one of the last ones to spend a lot of time with him when he got sick, and we had those conversations. But it was always dealing with us. It was always at an even kill when it comes to issues. Now, we have taken him up there, but that's under certain circumstances where he had to bring in the other part of discipline. All right. But other than that, when we had issues and almost at that panic button, he's always, or we have a difference between each other, he always stayed at the even keel with us. And I just learned that. So when I get in these situations, I'm like, you know, there's always an answer to the problem.
Yeah.
So you know, that's what I look at. It's just his evenness and his way of how to deal with stressful situations.
Well, you know, in politics, kind of hurt the black family in the 80s when they got the 3 strikes you out. And a lot of black men got incarcerated. And of course, now the ramifications is us dealing with our black young men today, you know, and Joe, you have a young son, and, you know, I'm pretty sure that daddy, you know, we kind of felt our daddy was before his time. He never complained. And that's the other thing. We never got government help. You know, we never was on no welfare. We never was on no housing authority. And even though I'm pretty sure we was eligible. We were eligible, but our mom and father, I think that's the pride that they put in us.
Not against it, but
Joe, what's your thoughts? Or
Yeah, just two quick things. The first thing is I think that's lacking with our young men, not only our black young men, but all youth today is respect for elders. And you're losing that. I mean, we talked about the Air Force combing our hair and our pants sagging down. That wasn't allowed in our family, but yet is allowed today. And to this day, I try to figure out, you know, the mystery of that. What's so cool about that right there? You heard my brothers talking about you couldn't get off that porch. And then I would say respect, you know, when you come to someone's house or you visit someone, you see something, you coming into the house, so you should always speak. And that's something he taught us. You know, my friends I went to high school can tell you stories about him being on the porch and they think he's asleep and they just walk right by him. Oh man, I was like thunder and lightning happening once they got finished with it. So I think that, you know, as a whole, right now in United States of America, we lack that. We really, really lack that respect for our elders, and even some of the elders don't deserve the respect because they're not doing their part. I think we all have a part to do, and that's, you know, that's one thing that he did teach me. You know, and take care of your family. You know, no matter what it is, you the man, be the man, and take care of your family.
Yeah. Chef Dog, I want to send a shout out one of my old teammates. Let's go with Trent.
yes.
What was one of the that you can remember, one of the advices that you got from one of us, one of your brothers growing up?
No, I want to take one. There's two. I got to hit two. Though. I got to hit Norris. I got to hit Abu. Now, what I want to learn from Abu, and what amazed me about Abu all my life, is that he gives 100%. He either 100% with you or he's not with you at all. Don't be it. And I love that. 100%. He can be 100% wrong, but he's with you 100%. And that matters. That is so. He's not 50, 65. He's all the way with you. And I've always loved that about him. I've always thought about that. Now with Norris is the other one that actually, like, you know, he gave me my some financial advices, you know, about always, when you get something, always put a little bit aside, you know. And I don't want to expose any of my children. But you know, but you got to learn how to, whatever you get, you got to put a little bit aside, because something, especially growing up and you're young, because something is always going to come up or happen where you need that little extra money. And so those him and Norris, those two solid things that have helped me throughout my life, and they have always paid off. So when I'm ever involved with something, once I check it out, I try to give it 100%. And I'm always trying to put something aside, and it has always worked, and that need has always been there. Now I'm here about to retire here, being 64 years old. You know, that advice has allowed me, you know, in the coming next 6 months to be able to retire, you know, and not have to go back to work the rest of my life.
Yeah. What about you, Dora? What? Because shoot, I mean, they had to come save you up at Kent State, and what's the best advice one of these guys have?
You know, I still just I look at it as a whole, because I want to know.
Let me stop you right there, because you gave me a lot.
Yeah, I actually went another path. I'm retired from the Army. You know, spent 25 years in the Army. doing some great things and truly enjoy my life and met some great friends. And I just always wanted to, share with them and have them come and visit with me. I just think what I've learned from these guys is, we're all family. We're all family. These are your brothers. They're going to always be your brothers. So always be open. Just like you can come and visit me. You don't have to call and tell me you come. You can be in the area.
Yeah, the wives only had that problem.
I always tell them, they know me. I'm a mystery man. I make sure up at the door. So, just watching these guys grow up, as I said, with Abu, mild-mannered, just got even cute all across.
Always.
Like Gandhi is just like that, really, talking to Norris. Me and him always go back and forth on it, but at the end of the day, we agree to it. We'll agree to something just in a discussion. With JC, I'm always just telling him what to do because he's that guy to tell him what to do. But I mean, it's just been a blessing for me to be the seventh child of all these guys, which is my mom is the seventh child, and I have her middle name, and I always and I was home at the end, with my father, when he was kind of sick at the end. I'll never forget. I was my first assignment in Korea, and he was in the hospital. We had those 5 strokes, and I'm sitting talking to him, and he said, "Hey, go." He said, "Go," because I was gonna stay. He said, "No, you need to go. Take care of yourself and go." And that's the only reason why I went on and continued on with my career. The beginning of my career in the United States Army, that was my first assignment in Korea, flying that night, and he told me to go ahead and go. So from these guys, man, just take care of your family, be positive, and do positive things.
Yeah. One of the things I know Trent always told me about, hey, if you do something and you don't want nobody ever to know, you always do it by yourself. You ain't gonna tell on yourself. So I remember you. I think Timmy.
I got to be honest with that. That covered the oldest brother. That covered Tim Jr.
Yeah.
That was mine. Good advice, though.
Yeah. Norris Jr. said, "Hey, we were the cornerstone of his great success." Dale Shepard sends out Sybil, who we call sister. Probably was the closest thing. I mean, she's a year behind me, and we were actually raised as babies together.
You're
There he is.
what's going on, buddy?
Hey, you got 3 minutes. Tell us a daddy story. Tell us a daddy story.
Well, hey, he was a great man, and I would just say everything I just learned from learning how to work on cars and being disciplined, how to treat people. You couldn't find a better person than that. But just a quick story about our brothers. I just want put one on Trent and just tell you how close our family were. Me and Trent played on different. We was on different kind of like football teams. He was with the Houston team, and I was with the Austin team. And we was playing in a professional football game. And what we did was, I hope none of the coaches hear us, but whenever we would pass or run, I would give the signal to tell them what our team was doing, and he would tell me what their team was doing. We made all the plays. So that's that brotherly love there, even though we was on different teams, but we was just looking out for, one another. And I just couldn't say enough about all my brothers and, how we, grew up together. And I always give a shout out to especially Tim, because he started us in athletics, him and our cousin Jerry. That's where you get that hard nose from them 2 guys, because I would always go down to Dunbar and watch Tim practice and watch him play over at Roosevelt. So, it's just so many people, the neighborhood people, the people in the church, everybody who we have came in, contact with that made a difference in our lives.
Stevie, can you hear Steve?
Got a bad internet connection. Yeah, he's in that.
Stevie. See, I told him to go sit down somewhere. All right.
You've been better outside.
Hey, JC, I just want to say, we talked about it right quick, but I think one thing too is that we were all in the church, or our faith, our faith in God, our religion. That really was a biggie, because we all had a base to come back to. We knew right from wrong, and that's what our parents instilled in us. Our father on Sundays, one thing for sure, we were up getting dressed in them suits, to go to church, and and so I think that's a key part right there with any family of having faith and having something to go back to, because that's a core you can always go back to, because you know right from wrong.
Yeah. I give a shout out to Norris, because me and Norris were always together. Norris was like my guardian angel. Every time I crossed that, because I was kind of wild when I was young. Every time I crossed that line, he would pull me back. I'd invite him up to the university. He'd come up there, and then after you go home with him, he called and give me his assessment of what I shouldn't be doing. So that was a big help for me to stay in line, because I was off the chain. And even right now, I depend on him to keep me informed about Mama, because I'm away. When he calls and said, well, Mama needs some, I'm not asking why and going through some other reasons. If he says it's needed, I'm gonna try my best to give him what he needs down there to take care of Mama.
Okay.
So,
we're going to our final remarks. LC, you shoot final remarks.
Well, I always say this, we were animal lovers too. So, we had some great dogs though, they was part of our family too. So I didn't want to leave out. They got all kind of names though. Shep, Hobo, Snoop Dogg. We had all kind of pets. Even my one brother, Stevie, he had the rabbits, and the rabbits died, and he wanted to commit suicide himself. So that just tell you how much we were animal lovers. But I would say my final remarks is that, we all got to come together and change our styles of life and love one another, and just not always, when you see someone need help them, no matter what it is, whether it's money, whether it's love, or giving them something. Always be appreciated, and help others.
Yeah, I gonna bring it to a close. Guys, supporters that watch my show, you wonder why I've been so successful coming behind 8 different personalities. And I'm talking to younger people, just listen. That's all I've ever done. One of the things is I didn't challenge. If they say, John, don't go down this street, I didn't. They say, wear blue today. I wore blue. When I go and speak, all over the country to the kids, I don't have no story where I've been in prison and I sold drugs or I was an addict. You don't have to be successful to go through all that stuff. I've lived a wonderful life. It had never been about finance. It's never been about where I stayed at. It's never been about the car I drove. It's all been about love and having the support of your family. You can step out and you can choose anything that you want to do, but it starts at home. And that's one of the things that have made me a great football coach. Is I've always, when I took over programs, I started with them inside. The brain of it, which would be the coaches. And all of us has always been on the same side. All of us been able to support each other. All always been able to feel good about the other one's success, because each one teach one, each one bring one. And so no, I don't have one of those, if you want to call it a successful story, man, I say it to my kids all the time. Just do what I ask you to do. Just follow the plan. As they say in the Wizard of Oz, just follow the yellow brick road. And I guarantee you're going to meet the wizard. You're going to have a great life. I got a great life. Maybe I ain't rich. I'm not poor. Maybe it rained, but not being rained on. But I live a great life. I got 8 brothers, and I'm just blessed. And we all are blessed. After me leaving school for 40 years, still able to have my siblings with me. And each and every day when we talk to each other, we say the word, I love you. We say the word, I miss you. And we make sure that we support each other 100%. Whether we agree, disagree, we've always been there. We always been a part. And it all started with our parents making sure that we sprinkle love. And I think I've done that everywhere I've gone, and surely these men behind me. Thank you. We'll be back here next Monday. I got a great show coming next week. Got Vance Bedford, professional football coach, But again, I love you. See you next week. Thank you for following me.
Hey everybody, we have an announcement to make.
We sold out. We told you we were gonna sell out, and you missed it. It's your fault. It's your fault.
We are officially sold out. Ah!
Sold out.
Sold out.
How long I been saying it? How long I been saying it? We finna sell out. We said, hey, I'm watching. It happened. We sold out.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
With what you need to know. Today is Monday, June 20th, 2022. Happy federal holiday of Juneteenth, everybody. Number 1, Monday marks the second official federal holiday honoring Juneteenth. It was 157 years ago, June 19th, 1865, the slaves in Galveston, Texas, learned of their freedom from Union soldiers. This was 2.5 years after the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation by President Abraham Lincoln, and 2 months after the Civil War ended with the surrender of Confederate General Robert E. Lee. It was 1 year ago that President Joe Biden signed the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act into law, recognizing June 19th as the federal holiday. But what about our states? Some states, including Alabama, Mississippi, South Carolina, and Tennessee, are still slow to do more than issue a proclamation, a memo, or a resolution. Number 2, photos, video, and testimony were presented during Thursday's hearing of the House committee investigating the January 6 attack on the U.S. Capitol, and it demonstrated how close Vice President Mike Pence was to extreme danger on that day. Testimony before the committee indicated the mental games and name-calling initiated by Donald Trump on his second in command. And a member of the Proud Boys told the FBI his group would have killed Mike Pence if given the chance. Another name or names that warrant investigation by the January 6th committee, Virginia Thomas and her husband, Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. Number 3, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has signed off on vaccines for Americans younger than 5 years of age, allowing shots to begin immediately. The move came 1 day after the Food and Drug Administration issued 3 new authorizations for COVID-19 vaccines. The Biden administration pledged to start shipping up to 10 million doses to states, pharmacies, and community health centers immediately after the FDA authorization. Number 4, 2 white Florida men have been charged with a federal hate crime for allegedly beating a black man in a store parking lot while yelling racial slurs. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, Roy Lashley and Robert Lashley were indicted by a grand jury. The pair had already been charged with assault and battery under state law for the November attack of the black man in the parking lot of a Family Dollar store in Citrus County, Florida. Federal hate crime charges carry a maximum of a 10-year prison sentence and and a fine of up to $250,000. Number 5. Apple workers in the Baltimore area voted to join a union Saturday, becoming the first of the tech giant's U.S. retail stores to do so. This vote means workers at the Towson, Maryland store plan to join the International Association of Machinist and Aerospace Workers once a contract is ratified. This vote is part of an organizing wave sweeping the nation as workers increasingly band together to demand higher pay, better benefits, and more negotiating leverage with their employers during the pandemic. Here's your daily inspiration from Yogi's Jewels. Don't allow other people's words or actions to disturb your peace. All right. Thank you to our What You Need to Know partners, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and the American Heart Association. To subscribe to my free daily newsletter, please visit SibylWilkes.com. Be informed, be empowered.